Welcome back to another episode of the FPL Sheeple podcast, a podcast that aggregates elite FPL content and delivers it straight to your ears. We come to you after Game Week 24, where the main question for both of us was why didn't we captain Jota? There were four players with over 100% effective ownership, so our ranks were pulled up and then back down. I'm joined by my co host FPL Donatello after a while. It's nice to have you back, Donatello. And so the first question is why didn't we captain Jota?
For me, yeah, thanks. For me, it's why don't you own Jota? Let's start with that.
Ah,
I don't even have him in my team. So, as you said, ranks were pulled down really badly. So, um, yeah, it was a total game changer for people who didn't own Jota because they fell really bad in ranks. So, um, yeah, that was the story of game week 24.
yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, for me, I owned him, and I guess I went by, you know, the suggestion that our content creator gave. Although he did himself end up captaining Jota, and I probably took the wrong advice on board and went to Captain Bowen. I think you also saw the same advice, and both of us ended up captaining Bowen. But you know, on the first day of the game week, it seemed like a good decision, and then we were just hoping and praying that Jota doesn't do much. Uh,
Yeah, actually, that's right. We were having a good game week until the Liverpool match happened. Um, so yeah, I mean, I mean, our decision to captain Bowen worked out, but yeah,
yeah,
that 16 pointer literally, ruined everything. For those who don't didn't own him, that's
yeah,
you know.
that's true. That's true. All right, so then just let's get into this week's episode. So yeah, so we'll start off by taking a look at the template team from Game Week 24. So every week we take a look at the starting 11s of 20 different elite FPL content creators, and we try to compare their teams and take a look at which were the most commonly picked players across those teams, and we use that to prepare a template team of the players. And this week it looks like again there were quite a few differentials. Ramsdale, who turned out to be the popular keeper pick, turned out to be a good keeper pick because he got 9 points, but he was only in 9 of the 20 teams. And then Jota is in 19 out of the 20 teams. So there was another content creator who also didn't have Jota, just like you. Uh, and so it looks like, yeah, um, Jota was not massively scoring points, but he chose this game week to unfortunately, score 16 for his non-owners. He,
Exactly. It
yeah,
was like one of those. I think it was the Bruno game week where he scored and
yeah,
assisted. You know, it was same type of game week.
yeah,
The people who didn't own him really suffered.
yeah. And looks like so this week actually Jota was the most popular captaincy pick, but there were quite a few captaincy choices all across the board.
Hmm.
I mean, as you know, I mean, we captained Bowen. I think there are a couple other content creators who did that as well. There were some. There was one who captained Kevin De Bruyne, which also looked like a good decision until
Yeah.
the Liverpool game, of course. There were Jao Cancelo captainers, and that was also very interesting. So yeah, that's why, yeah, as I said in the beginning, there were like four players above 100% effective ownership. So like Jao
Yeah.
Cancelo, Trent, Jota, and who else? There was one more. I think Bowen was
I
close
think it
to
was.
that as well. Also, yeah. So all
Yeah.
these players were,
I think it was Trent.
yeah, Trent. Yeah, of course, Trent,
Yeah.
Cancelo, Jota, and I think Bowen as well. So four of these players, and that's why they were essentially if you had these four players and they were not your captain, you would essentially lose rank if the
Mm.
more points that these players scored. So turned out to be true for us in the case of Jota. Apart from that, yeah, as I said last episode, Ronaldo and Bruno are already in most teams. So I think it's going to be pretty easy for them to navigate game week 25 because United are
Mm,
doubling.
yeah,
And yeah, I think I have already heard a few content creators just thinking about rolling their transfer uh, before this game week. So yeah,
right.
I mean they're in a privileged position already.
Mm.
So yeah, so anyway, so coming to how we did in game week 24, starting with your team first.
Well, I was doing, as I said, like I was doing well until the Liverpool match. So I didn't take any hits last game week, but my total points were 52. Um, and as you can see from the screenshot, I the safety score for my team was 72
Oh,
because I think I'm missing 16 Jota points
yeah.
or something like that. And apart from Bowen and Trent and Cancelo, there was nothing really to talk about. Lucas Moura 5 points, yeah, but there's nothing really to talk about. It's just ones and twos here and there. Um, yeah, so that was like a horrid game week. I am like free falling in ranks, down by like 56,000 points now. 50,000 56,000 ranks, I'm sorry. Down to 175k from like 90k. So it's like red lights going for me.
Mm.
Time to do something to bump up the rank back to under 100k. So overall it was like a bad game week because I was missing one player and the rest didn't contribute really to the points. So yeah, one of those game weeks. So hoping for a jump start from here onwards. So let's see. How about you?
Yeah, for me it was an okay game week. I got 67 points,
Yeah,
and the same as you, my safety score was also 72. So that means that to keep my rank, I had to score at least 72 points, and I was 5 points away from the safety
yeah.
score, which means I got a tinier red arrow than in your case. So I went from 74k to 82k, and that's okay. It wasn't too bad, especially given that I made such a big captaincy call mistake. I think in and also I think the goalkeeper choice was odd. I should have kept Ramsdale in my goal because he was clearly in form, and I know that United never keep a clean sheet. So I should have gone for Ramsdale as a keeper,
But
and
but in your defense, it was Burnley, and I would have I did the same. So
yeah, I
because
know.
I thought it was Burnley and a relatively easy match, I thought
Yeah,
it was going to be a clean sheet. But
yeah. Compared to
mm,
Wolves, like Arsenal versus Wolves,
correct,
I thought yeah,
yeah.
United versus Burnley was a better bet. But I think well, for now, yeah, the decision is simpler because game week 25 De Gea has a double game week and Ramsdale doesn't play, so it's pretty straightforward this game week. Um, unless we are making goalkeeper changes, we'll see what we are doing. But yeah, apart from that, yeah, for me, Bowen, captain 22, Jota was thankfully in my team, but still made me lose rank. He got 16 points, but yeah, he was in many people's teams and was captain, so I lost rank because of that. And yeah, for me, it's the same. Trent 6 points, Cancelo 7 points, Lucas Moura 5, and everyone else blank, including Harry Kane. Uh, in like a 2-3 loss, he Harry Kane ended up getting a blank. So I don't know. And Edward seems to be now certainly a rotation risk. I brought him in thinking, he's a
Yeah, I
good
was
asset.
surprised to see that he didn't start that match and he came on after like 60
Yeah.
odd minutes. So you never know with these teams. I mean, since we are not we are not following them like City and
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea, we don't really know how they function. So
Yeah.
it was quite a shock.
Yeah, that's true. Well, hopefully, he's double in week 26 is where
Yeah.
he plays and shines. So let's see if that works out. All right. So then, after looking at our teams, we take a look at the teams for the content creators and how they did in Game Week 24. And this week we had a winner with a massive haul of 88 points, and that was Sam from FPL Family. I mean, she had Jota captain, obviously, but she had a player that I could not believe was in anyone's team. It was Jacob Ramsey. He's just 4.7 million. That's just crazy, and he's getting a lot of points. I'm sure his price will rise by the next game week. He and so Jacob Ramsey got 14 points. So Sam took away all the 14 points, and she obviously had Ramsdale as her keeper, and also had Bowen. So yeah, all of those contributed to her high score of 88. And yeah, she's back in the top 100K, I think, and yeah, uh, really amazing score for her this
Yeah.
game week. Uh,
Yeah, Jacob Ramsey's addition to that point tally is insane. I mean, he scored like 2 goals in quick succession. So
mhm.
yeah, it feels really great when your punt works out. So
Yeah,
good for Sam.
a 4.7 million player giving you 14
Yeah.
points is, I think, just a lottery. Yeah, that's amazing. All right, so then coming to the teams from all the other remaining content creators. So what we do every game week is we prepare this spreadsheet where we take the starting 11s of all the 20 content creators and both of our teams, and just make the spreadsheet where we can compare the teams for all of us. And what we also do is we take a look at the game week points, the total points, the overall rank, the chips, the captains that have been played, and then we also have the players arranged in the frequency of their occurrence in all these teams. So Trent, who is in all 20 teams, is the first player. Cancelo is the second, and then as we go to the right of the spreadsheet, we see the players that are picked only by a few teams. So
Mm.
like the likes of Ramsey, who was in only Sam's team, or Kane for that matter, who was in only a few teams. So that's the stuff we can see in the spreadsheet. So it forms a nice comparison for anyone who's looking at such teams together, and also gives you an idea of a pool of players that might be good for you to pick um, in and around the game based on all these uh, great content creators and their research. So we link this spreadsheet in the description of our audio and our video version. So feel free to browse around and take a look at this spreadsheet for your own benefit. And so, as usual, we look at the spreadsheet and we come up with some key takeaway points that we discuss now. Starting with your key takeaways from the spreadsheet.
Yeah, my key takeaway from this spreadsheet is the theme of our episode. Like missing out on Jota was costly to all the I think 4 or 5 content creators who didn't have him in the team. They are in the bottom half because I think some of them owned Jota, but they didn't captain him. So maybe because that as well. But yeah, it's like one player ruins your entire game week. So
Hmm.
it was one of those game weeks. So yeah, that was like the key takeaway. And I think this was one of the strongest template game week I've observed
Okay.
in the last few game weeks where the template if you have the template team from the content creators that we have, you would be bound to be in the upper half of the points tally. I think it
Right.
would be above 70 points at least. So yeah, I think it was more about being template this week, and being picking the obvious players, which benefited all the content creators who had those players in their team. So yeah, those are takeaways for me. And then finally, I like to look at the differentials. The main main differential. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it was once
Yeah.
again Jota. Six, even though he was template, he was a differential as well. So it was such a game week. And then Kevin De Bruyne 11 points, Ramsey 14 points, and Sterling 9 points. I think these three were some of the differential players, which I think only few content creators had them in their
Yeah.
team, and definitely contributed to their overall points tally. And I think Kevin De Bruyne is getting back into form. something like a couple of years ago when he was like a must have in the team. So he's getting back into form, and it will be interesting to see what the content creators do. Um, when he's like a fixed or like a sure shot starter and in form, and then also Salah comes back. So I am like interested to see what the
Hmm.
obviously I think it's going to be Salah over Kevin De Bruyne. But it will be interesting to see if someone goes the alternate or the differential route.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. Yeah, I think there's a lot of discussion about how to have two assets out of Bruno, KDB, Salah, Ronaldo, and Kane. So out of these five players, which two to have at a time? Because I think people can only afford two out of the five at a time, and yeah, it's a lot of discussion about which combinations to have in this game week and the next. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We'll keep an out on that. uh, for us, we focus on game week
Yeah.
25 and just make transfers based on that.
Yeah.
And yeah, coming back to the point about strong template, yeah, I agree with you. I think even for me, when I look at my team, and I think it's true for you, the
Yeah.
likes of like Lucas Moura and Madison, I feel are like players that I don't know. They're in my team, and I think I made those changes, you know, way back when they were suggested and they were made sense. But now I would much rather have a cheap midfielder instead of one of them, and then have cash to make some other moves. I'm sort of stuck because I've committed a lot of cash in
Right.
these mid-price midfielders. So yeah, we'll talk about that in the transfer section a bit, because yeah, I think these investment I have to get to do something. Probably in the next couple of game weeks, I might have to take quite a few of hits to move around and make the team look better. uh, so yeah, we'll come to that later. Yeah, so for me in the spreadsheet takeaways, yeah, every week I take a look at the range of points, and this week it was between 52 and 88. And the main difference, as we've pointed out too many times, it's the Jota captainers, and they were on top. But I think Ramsdale was a mean, say, like all the nine Ramsdale owners from our content creators were also towards the top. And obviously, Jacob Ramsey, who was in Sam's team, led to her haul of 88 points. But I also noticed down the spreadsheet that there were some players that are in a few teams and are being recommended quite a bit by content creators, but they don't seem like they're scoring a ton of points. So like the likes of Phil Foden, Foden has blanked, I think, like 3 out of 4 game weeks now or something like that. And yeah, it doesn't seem to be, even though he gets in good positions and is a major threat, uh, he doesn't seem to be getting FPL points. Martinelli, unfortunately, got a red card last game week, or this game week, but it was unfortunate. I mean, it shouldn't have been a red card. But now therefore he's not a good prospect to have. Edward, rotation the risk, so uh, God knows what to do with that. And Region, who, even though again has attacking threat, but Spurs are not yet, you know, a machine. So yeah, these four players I thought that are recommended are also found in other content creators teams, but I feel they're a bit iffy. I don't know if I would
Yeah.
go for them even if they are recommended in the next few game weeks. So we'll see. I have Edward, I'll keep him for now, but uh, I'm not a big fan of a rotation risk. So
Yeah.
yeah, so these were my key takeaways from the creator spreadsheet, and so yeah, so then let's look forward to the next game week, starting with the creator of the week for game week 25. So yeah, as already said before, we have Sam Bonfield from the FPL family, who's the creator of the week. She also features on the official FPL show, and she
Mm.
was on the episode this week and gave her opinions about all the different players from the different teams and the double game week players as well. So great to have that content for us. Her current rank is 82k, so she's back in the top 100k based on her phenomenal week this week. She's played FPL for 10 seasons so far, and her best rank was 3499 in 2019-20. So quite her best season was just very recent. And she's finished in the top 50k 5 times out of the 10 seasons. So yeah, again,
Mm.
consistent and stellar performance throughout her career. And yeah, great to have her as a creator of the week this week. So let's take a look at her transfer suggestions. Would you like to talk about them?
Yeah, sure. So we followed the FPL official FPL podcast on which Sam and her husband Lee were featured this game week, and some of the transfer suggestions were based around the players in form or the must-haves. So to start with, since United have a double game week, it was a suggestion that Ronaldo and or Bruno are must-haves in your team. So that was like the key suggestion. And then in terms of the players that you need to get in your team, Salah, Jota, Coutinho, Ramsey, Sanchez, and Reguilon were some of the names that were discussed, and were like players that you could get in your team for this particular game week. And then some of the players that you can aim to get in the upcoming game weeks were DCL and Kane. Why don't you go for the rest?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so and Sam, so therefore, um, discussed quite a bit about whether to get Salah in this game week or the next, because Salah is such a dangerous player not to own. Similar to what Jota did to, let's say, Donatello in this game week. Not having Salah could give a similar sort of problem to his non-owners. But then it's like, you know does one go for the double game week player in Bruno and then wait for Salah? Definitely, people are going to get in Salah in game week 26 when he doubles, and both his doubles are really easy, as we pointed out in the last episode. So uh, or do you just trust that Bruno is not going to score too many points this double game week and just get Salah in and be done with that transfer and focus on other areas of your team in game week 26? So yeah, that was a bit of a debate and bit of a conundrum that Sam discussed quite a bit.
yeah,
And yeah, for her, I think Robert Sanchez as a goalkeeper was a attractive pick with the double this game week, and he's in generally good form. So that was one. And Region amongst
yeah,
the Spurs defenders. So if you were at least to go for any Spurs defenders, which I don't fancy too much, but at least you can go for Region is what she suggested. Um,
right.
yeah, and in terms of captaincy, Bruno was the number one pick for everyone. Uh, just because I mean Sam was has a clear idea. I think that I like that clarity that she had, that if you're captaining anyone, captain the double game week player. As simple as that. Forget about who has potential and which fixtures are easy. Just captain a double game week player, and just that's a better decision to live with than not captaining a double game week player and them
Yeah,
hauling. Apart from that, Ronaldo is the second obvious choice, and Salah if you have him back in your team, and KDB also has a good fixture. So yeah, these were the four captaincy picks, with Bruno getting the special sort of mention of the number one pick. So yeah, so these are all of Sam's suggestions, and we took them on board. And let's see what are the changes we made to our own teams. We start with your team first, and oh yeah, this is awesome.
yeah. So I have decided to do a free hit this game week because I think desperate times call for desperate measures, and I have two free hits left. And I just wanted to make the most of this game week because it was like a double game week for a for a few teams. And I just wanted to make sure I have all the players that I need So yeah, so I've decided to, you know, take up on Sam's suggestion, and I got in Fernandez, Jota, Bowen, Region, and Sanchez in my team. Based and Rafinha too. Sorry, I missed out on Rafinha. Rafinha wasn't an obvious suggestion, but it was a player that she had in her team, so I decided to,
Mm.
bring him in as well. So I have Fernandez as my captain. I'm gonna play a 4-5-1 this game week. So Sanchez, my goalkeeper, Dean, Cancelo, Trent, and Region, my back four. Ramsey, Rafinha, Bowen, Jota, Fernandez, and then up front Ronaldo. And then Fernandez captain, Jota vice captain. And then Dennis King and Livramento on the bench, and also De Gea. So that's my game week team for 25. It's going to be a gamble, but
Hmm.
I think, as I said, desperate times call for desperate
Yeah,
measures.
I have many questions. can you can you didn't you think about like a city midfielder because they're playing Norwich, or like more city assets, or can't you afford them?
No, I mean, yeah, I couldn't afford them because most of them were like 7.7 million above, and I just wanted to, uh, I have like a million left in the bank, but I still couldn't afford the good ones. So that's the reason why I
Hmm.
went for Fernandez. And I have Fernandez, Ronaldo. They are like complete money hoggers. So
Hmm. Yeah, that's true.
the budget was tight all because of that decision.
I see. And another was Sanchez over De Gea. I know. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
as you
like yeah,
said,
yeah,
United don't keep clean sheets, but Brighton do. So
yeah,
that's the main reason behind it.
yeah. No, it's very interesting. I mean, a free hit might just give you the edge in this game week. That, I mean, as you
And
said, gets you
yeah,
back.
yeah, and also it was a suggestion by Sam. So
Ah,
you know,
that's yeah. So well, then yeah. It anyway that is justified. And uh, yeah, playing a free hit, I felt in a game week that not many teams are going to play a free hit, can catapult you back into the ranks, and you just have to defend for when other teams are going to play the free hit. So I think game week 27 and 30 are the most commonly talked about game weeks for free hit. I think
yeah,
if you set up your team, yeah, because you have another free hit, you can obviously play it in one of those weeks and then set up your team to defend against the other game week. So yeah, I think it is possible to navigate it. So yeah,
yeah. This is just like a precursor to like the eventual wild card.
yeah,
So I don't know if I think it's most likely going to be next week or the week after that,
okay,
but it's just so that I hope to get a decent amount of points from this team and get back into 100K. So
yeah,
that's the desperate times.
yeah, yeah. Sounds good. No, I think it should be possible. All right. So then coming to my team, and yeah, as I already discussed, I'm not really happy with many of the players in my team. So I think my team is
Yeah,
again coming closer to being wild carded or something, because there are at least 4 or 5 assets that I think can be moved on for some better assets. But for this game week, I have just done the obvious move of Kane to Ronaldo. I would have loved to have Bruno, but as I said before, I have these too much cash in the midfield, and yeah, it's just a unnecessary waste. I should take out one of the midfielders and have a cheap midfielder there, like a Jacob Ramsey, and then
yeah,
you know uh, get a heavy midfielder in, because now in this team, uh, with Ronaldo again, I had Kane, and I would have loved to keep Kane for 26, 27, and so on. But now this game week I have to get in Ronaldo, because otherwise my game week will be a disaster. But now next game week I have to also go to Kane. I need Salah, so I think next game week is going to be a big, either a lot of hits or a free hit or a wild card or something like that for me. Anyway, I think this team is now a bit of a dead end. But anyway,
yeah,
the team on paper is De Gea in goal, Trent, Cancelo, and Digne. Jota, Foden, Lucas Moura, and Bowen. Watkins, Edward, and Ronaldo. Ronaldo is my captain. De Gea is my vice captain. So yeah, if Ronaldo doesn't play at all, which I don't think is going to happen, but yeah, De Gea is my vice captain. On the bench, I have Ramsdale, Madison, Livramento, and Alonso. So yeah, that's my team. I think it's okay for game week 25, but for 26, I think it's going to be terrible. So we'll see what
I
to do.
think I have just one suggestion. I think you should make someone else your vice captain just in
Okay,
case Ronaldo doesn't change to
yeah,
play.
that's true.
And
I think I'll.
based on the
Hmm,
Southampton fight back,
yeah,
don't the clean sheet seems
yeah.
a little difficult. So
That's a good point. I think I'll stick it on Jota or Foden. Let's see.
yeah,
I think that's a better bet. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll do that. So before the deadline, obviously. But yeah, so those are our teams, and yeah, we'll see how it goes for us in double game week 25. Uh, yeah, and then I think this game week lasts till Tuesday. Then we'll have a regular episode next week because there's a big double game week 26. So yeah, we'll have to gather a lot of information before that and
yeah,
then yeah, get it to you. So yeah, so good luck everyone who and thank you for listening. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Spread the word if you think this format of podcast is interesting to you and to your friends who play FPL. So spread the word. And yeah, so have a good game week. I hope Ronaldo and or Bruno scores a ton of points and your captaincy choices are all on point.
yeah.
Uh,
Good luck to everyone.
yeah, so good luck and goodbye from me.